Welcome, everyone, to Ladder Daily Digest. Ladder Daily Digest honors creators. And today we're doing a slightly different thing. Brother Jones was visiting me a few weeks ago, and he noticed that I had a book called Meet the Mormons. And it came out in 1965, and he said that'd be a good thing to document, to create a PDF about. And Brother Jones, welcome to the show. Tell us more about what you thought about the book.
Well, yeah, it's nice to talk with you, Gene. Well, in light of the fact that a movie came out called Meet the Mormons, about 10 years ago or so, a movie which I might add I never did see, and then the turn of events that caused the term Mormon to become a hiss and a byword, or a victory for Satan. I thought it was interesting that there's a book, a hardbound book called Meet the Mormons that was published in 1965. There's some very interesting cultural things and doctrinal things in the book that I think are worth documenting and discussing. How about that?
That's right. So the Mormon Church back in 1965 wanted to let people know what Mormons were about. And let's scroll down to the thing that you thought was interesting in the introduction and zoom in on that, and we let people.
Yeah, let's just show the book title. Meet the Mormons, a pictorial introduction to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and its people. So if you
they still wanted people to know that it was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Like those two things were synonymous.
Right. So again, you can see it's 1965. There was a second printing in 1966. I might add that in 1964, there's a World's Fair in New York City, of which I actually had family attend that. So if you look at the acknowledgements in this book, I mean, it's almost just worth reading the acknowledgements to see how official was this book. Again, it's published by Deseret Book. That's owned by the church. It says numerous church agencies and auxiliaries, photographers, artists, and others have cooperated in the preparation of this book. Special appreciation is extended to the First Presidency, the New York World's Fair Committee, Historian's Office, Church Information Service, the Improvement Era, the Deseret News Press, Building Department, the Relief Society Magazine, Welfare Department, Brigham Young University, and to Glenn E. Nelson, and granted permission to use paintings, photographs, okay. The first people that are given acknowledgement is the First Presidency. Is there anything more official than that?
The First Presidency.
Yeah.
Yep. Right.
So
up there
this is an official publication. All right. But anyway, we can talk more about this at a
and we're actually, this show in particular is an introduction to an in-depth look at this book that we're going to do in a week or two maybe. And we thought for today's show, we'd let Brother Jones talk about being a Mormon in California. If anybody's seen my Mormon story, meet Gene Judson. It was Maven interviewed me, and I talk about being a California Mormon. And Brother Jones talked about how his experience was very similar.
It's very interesting how similar our experiences was. But yeah, I come from kind of a quintessential large California Mormon family, and I would have to say that 90% of my experience was positive. And this
your family was
what's that?
Your family was such a good representative of the church that when you were a toddler, what happened? Or a baby?
Yeah, well, somehow the local newspaper did a spotlight on our family at Christmas time, and it was like a full page write-up about our family. And actually, I'll just say the church news covered it as well. I don't want to say too much about when. It was positive, very positive.
And that was when you were an infant, and then you grew up. And did your family still meet the same criteria as the article talked about? Did you guys have family home evening and family prayer and stuff like that?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say definitely so. Yes. You and I we've joked together about kind of the strictness of some things in California Mormons that we were very strict about. And I remember as I went out to Utah as an adult, how casual some things were taken in by Mormons in the church in Utah. That was kind of new to me. Yeah, I mean, I saw very quickly kind of the difference between Utah Mormon culture and California Mormon culture. Yes.
Right. And I never heard of everybody outside of Utah being called the mission field. But did you ever hear that before?
Not really. That wasn't really a thing. No.
I think in California, we thought we couldn't possibly be in the mission field because we're California. We're huge. We're not some podunk little state or anything like that. We're part of the church just like anywhere else. We have 2 temples. When I was a kid, Oakland and LA, and were any added when you were a teenager?
No. The next one I think would have been San Diego. I'm not sure. That was probably done in the early '90s. I think it was.
Okay.
I do on this subject. I have a related comment, and that is I had a mission companion from Sandy, Utah, and he had only been to California once in his life for like a week or two. It was like a summer job or something, and I remember how he literally thought the center of the universe was Utah. He thought Sandy was Zion. He thought California was like Babylon. And we got along well, but yeah, I mean, it's just he was kind of like horrified by how crazy life was in California, and I found that kind of interesting. Meanwhile, we're in a country that was much more Babylonian than California.
That's right. Got my Thailand shirt on.
There you go. That's right.
So you baptized at 8, I guess. Did your dad baptize you?
Of course, yes.
Do you have lots of extended family come and celebrate? Do you remember
the baptism?
Yeah, like I don't remember any family.
Not really. I mean, there was not really. I mean, just the family who was at home was there. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was. It wasn't a monumental event. I mean, there'd been many of them before. It was
just expected, right? It wasn't.
Yes. Early memories of my experience in the church. I distinctly remember the little banner that you would hang in your room, and you would memorize the articles of faith, and you get this little emblem you could stick on it, that you passed, and you do all 13.
So for you, that was like a wall
back in the day. What's that?
That was like a wall hanging.
Yeah, it was like this banner you could hang in your room, And this was back in the days when Sunday school, like I want to say, sacrament meeting was at nighttime or in the evening, but you would go to Sunday school earlier in the day. They were like separated. It wasn't a 3-hour block. The 3-hour block, I want to say, started, it's like 1980 or something. Yeah, but I mean, all very, very positive. And this book, Meet the Mormons, it has a lot of the imagery that we grew up with, right? And it talks about the translation of the Book of Mormon. It talks about the pioneers. It talks about the Lamanites and the Nephites and all this imagery that was given to us growing up in this. It was for lack of a better term,
widespread.
It was the mythology that we grew up with. Yeah, the imagery. And
I do recall in like our foyer, we our foyer, where now there's a picture of Jesus. I believe there was a picture, a big full portrait of Joseph standing with like a quill pen or something in his hand. And that was like representative. I don't know. That's in my mind.
Recall that. The very, very vivid memories of the paintings that were in the Book of Mormon.
Right.
Arnold Freiberg, right? Many of those images are here in this book.
Right. So, and we'll be reviewing those.
And we'll talk about this, but there was no question that the Lamanites were the people of Central America.
Well,
because all the pyramids and all that's in this book. We'll show that very clearly. It actually shows imagery about metal plates. Of course, this is in the news again now, right? And many copies of the Book of Mormon back in, we'll say, the 80s. I'm not sure how far it goes. Actually, I take it back into the 70s. They were actually putting pictures of other metal plate artifacts in to kind of bolster the concept of metal plates and ancient records and things like that, which I found very interesting. Of course, that the party line and all that's changed very dramatically,
and the different sort of history situations. And so, so as a teenager, you would have gone through seminary and Sunday school, and did looking over the book, did it sort of match what you recall as what a California Mormon would have learned about the Mormon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went to early morning seminary. Okay, Californians, we got to go to early. You were dedicated if you were up and to the church by 6 a.m. Right? At least you were obedient. We'll say. You may not have liked it, but you were obedient. But the interesting thing, this shows Temple Square right here. Mm-hmm. I recall going to Temple Square around 1976 for the first time. 76, 77, right in there. And, it's just like bigger than life. This is like the Magic Kingdom, right?
It's like Mecca.
You see the tabernacle, you see the temple, you see the visitor center, and, it's just like magic. Of course, this is back in the late 70s when this is the rise of the Mormons on the American, in sports, in all kinds of things.
Worldwide growth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And soon thereafter, the blacks would get the priesthood. So I suppose this book would have a little bit of a different take on the blacks and the priesthood issue. It would not have known.
I don't know I don't think they even discuss it. Honestly, I don't think they even bring it up in the book.
Okay, we'll have to look at it soon. And
but
so
anyway, we'll talk more about it. But I find it very interesting, and I as we were just talking before this little blurb, that good historians want documented evidence, right? They want documented evidence to back up their claims, and this is a fantastic document that shows what claims the church made. This is a hardback. It's meant to be like a coffee table book. Okay, you may recall another big coffee table book that came out. I want to say it came out in the 90s, called The Mission. It's basically a picture of the church's missionary program around the world, and this is kind of the same thing, telling the story and kind of the church. 1965, right after World's Fair, and this is public relations. This is public affairs, and I'm sure this was given out at all kinds of press conferences and things like that. As a introduction, or showing what we're all about. And it's interesting, almost 60 years later, essentially 60 years later, how different the narrative is.
That's right.
How's that?
60th anniversary is next year. Yeah, it's like a time capsule.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean,
And
pretty
so,
much anybody over the age of 50 would be very familiar with this, with the imagery in this book. Yeah.
right. And just to let people know, you served a mission, 2-year honorable mission, and then you went to BYU, and then later on in your life, you worked for the church for a few years.
You're one of the few people I've become associated with in the recent past who's made the long journey to come visit me. It's not an easy task, and so I give you much credit for making the effort to come visit me. But I know you had some other objectives while you're here, but it's very meaningful to me that you would travel so far to see me.
It's been great to be here. You know, it is like living in a sauna where you get from sauna to sauna via air-conditioned car or an air-conditioned.
It's also a diet plan, right? Your wife's going to testify it's a diet plan.
I'm going to vouch for the fact I've lost between 6 and 8 pounds. I might have gained a couple back this evening. Had a couple of what ice creams. Well, I had one at Swenson.
And only half of those calories have been burned by you talking.
That's right. I might need to do 5 or 6 more shows tonight before I lose that weight that I gained tonight.
That's right.
But anyhow, yeah, it's been great to be here. It's been fun to drive around. I got to take some pictures. If people want to go to my Facebook page, I have sort of like I think 15 pictures on one post about Thailand, and I'll probably post some more beneath that so people can scroll down. They'll have to scroll down between some announcements of other podcasts I've done and other postings that I've made. Usually they're sayings, or I post science and history and current events, things like that. And so, but yeah, my pictures of Thailand are been kind of eye-opening. One thing I've noticed about Thailand is people are just normal people. They might speak a different language, but they're driving in motorcycles or tuk-tuks or other things.
Pardon the interruption.
So anyhow, thanks, Brother Jones, for coming on. We're teasing this. We're going to have a good show in a week or two. Not sure exactly when it'll come out, but we're going to take an in-depth look at Meet the Mormons. We'll talk about all the things that the Mormons believed about the Mormon Church 60 years ago. And that's all was what Brother Judson and Brother Jones learned. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.